husband lost his job. That's why you need to sock away some money when he's gainfully employed. Yes, they foreclosed on your home. That's why you need to have a network, a community, friends, family members, money put away.
But think about it, Adam,
have the kids.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account or an ATM, things we take for granted. They don't have a check.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't. And where do they
why
end
do
up,
Armenians have them?
But where they end up is in the check cashing places.
But I want to know why those groups, why those two groups don't have access.
Well, a lot of just happens to be that. We can
so
talk
they're
about
flawed?
This. No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically
Folks are making
flawed.
their word. Hardly, not absolutely.
But okay,
not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems.
Oh,
but
so that's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but
why
I'm
did you bring
you,
up black and Hispanic?
Because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
It just happens to be the
magnitude. That's the way God planned it?
Not at all.
Well, what happened to them?
There are a lot of issues, and that the communities are struggling. A lot
why
of new
are they
immigrants.
Struggling?
A lot of different reasons. Lack of
opportunity.
Have
been here. Blacks have been here longer than we've been here.
Well, we can surmise.
What about Asians? They were put in internment camps.
Yeah, in fact it all initiated at San Francisco. And the Chinese Exclusion Act came out.
So
Progressive San Francisco.
Are they the check cashing
places? A lot of
places?
Asians certainly do.
Oh, so why don't you
because
include them?
The only reason why is the magnitude.
There's
the
so many more.
The magnitude in percentage
But there's no way to figure out how that happened.
We could talk about that. You know what I'm dealing with? I don't want to have a sociological debate.
Sure, why would you?
No, here's why.
Why would you want to do that? Because the person from the Times wouldn't write good things about you if you did that.
No, that's not the case. Because I want to deal with reality. No.
You want to deal with reality.
I want to deal with the reality of people
is.
That are struggling. People are suffering. I want to deal with the problems in
why
a pragmatic
are they
way.
struggling
I don't
and
want
suffering?
an idea. We can hold hands and surmise about all these underlying reasons.
I don't want to do that. I want to know why they're struggling. Why are they struggling?
A lot of folks are struggling because they can't find
why
jobs.
Blacks and
because
Hispanics?
They're working.
Why blacks and Hispanics?
Across the board, all socioeconomic.
Okay, so everybody.
Everybody's struggling.
So Asians are suffering just as much as blacks.
The face of welfare is not an African American family.
So it's Asian, Jewish, it's all of them.
Caucasian. It's a lot of folks in society. A lot of folks are struggling.
Okay,
but a lot of folks are struggling.
So if I go down to the check cashing place, lots of Jews and Asians.
There are.
Okay.
Right.
Just checking you. Just checking the math.
Absolute fact.
I'm just wondering why you singled those two out.
Because the percentages, and I think these things matter, are profound.
So why? That's my question.
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons why. And you want to go back to issues of racism? I'll do that. You want to go back to the debate we're having about the Voting Rights Act and the fact the Supreme Court wants to take away Section 5?
What about their families?
You want to but you want to
talk about their families?
But I understand that. Families are incredibly important. That's certainly part of it.
Yeah,
and people have to be
responsible.
It's a very
small part of it. It's minuscule.
It's a big part of it.
Oh, big.
It is a big part.
Oh, well, why don't you guys talk about that then if it's a big part?
I just brought it up.
It's a big part. It's a big part. It's a big part that you never talk about?
I do talk about.
No one on your side talks about that big part?
I think President Obama himself brings it up over and over again. Go back to his campaign speeches.
Sure.
He's given some remarkable speeches of importance of fathers in the context of the African American.
You got to be a hero.
Struggle.
You got to be a hero to raise your kid.
No, well, you have to be
courage.
responsible
It takes courage to raise a kid. I heard his speech. It takes courage, Gavin.
I don't know about courage.
That's what your president said.
No, but to his credit,
let's hear what he says.
Eloquent speeches.
Let's hear what he says. It says it takes courage.
And we'll work to strengthen families by removing the financial deterrents to marriage for low-income couples and do more to encourage fatherhood. Because what makes you a man isn't the ability to conceive a child.
That's right.
It's having the courage to raise one.
Courage.
Yeah, I don't know if I get your point.
Courage.
But at least he made the point that I imagine you accept that it's easy to have one.
Yes.
But you've got to actually step up and be a man and actually raise one. And he probably used – I think that's what
Gavin,
ultimately
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anybody can eat at an IHOP. It takes courage to pay the bill.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It takes
by the way,
courage to stay there and pay that bill.
This is the president has spoken not at his State of the Union, as you just exampled, but he's spoken about this in much more comprehensive and eloquent terms.
Yeah.
And I think powerfully so. and I think principally so. The issues,
this
though,
is his latest one.
But we want to go to the issue of race as it relates to the issues of poverty and what we had in in redevelopment agencies and concentration of poverty and public housing and all of these things start to lead to why. The answer to your question of why is it concentrated in the African American community?
Why?
Looking at that history, one cannot exclude that reality. I just think that's naive to suggest that those things don't matter. When families were broken up.
How about the Jews? No problems in the past?
No, of course. Every community's got their struggles.
Had it worse?
Even the Irish had struggles.
Who do you think had it worse?
I get it. But
what about the Jews? They seem to be. Why are the Jews doing well?
You know what? In
Why?
1967, blacks couldn't even marry whites in this country. Not 1927. In 16 states, they were denied because people use religious arguments to deny people
Jews
interracial
got put in
marriage.
ovens and
I understand,
incinerated.
and it's disgraceful.
Okay, so
and that's why, and it's completely fair game.
How are the Jews doing now?
I mean, a lot of Jewish families doing well. A lot of families struggling.
Really?
Absolutely.
At the Czech place?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll
go down to the Czech place.
Across the board, people are struggling.
All right,
of course.
as long as everyone's
look at the
struggling
unemployment lines.
A lot of
Jews. Includes Americans of all types, all races, all ethnicities, all sexual orientations.
They're all the same.
My gosh.
That's right.
But, and we could talk about the issues in the Latino community, again, by separating the challenges associated with English as a second language for a lot of folks.
Sure.
The issues of poverty and issues
everyone that
related
came
to
here spoke perfect English.
No, I understand that. I got it. I mean, I get your world, Adam, which is a little bit more clean-cut and idealistic, a little less pragmatic in terms of the world.
It's
the rest
wildly
of us
pragmatic.
Well,
they have a problem with family. They have a problem with. They don't focus on education. That will get them out of the problem they're in.
On education? I don't think there's any community that cares more about education than the Latino community.
Wow.
I don't know.
Check those test scores.
No, people are. I mean, come on, that's not fair. They care.
Fair.
Look at this school system. Look how lousy the system is. Look how lousy the system is.
The system sucks,
I don't care who
but it
goes
doesn't
in that
suck
system.
if you have parents that are together and put an emphasis on education.
They care deeply about education, care deeply about health care,
they care about
these options.
Okay. Well, then why do some groups do so much better?
I mean, what do you mean by groups? Almost everybody's struggling in some way, shape, or form.
There's a huge difference
in
academic performance between Asians and Hispanics, yes or no?
There's certainly examples within the Asian community.
Yes or no?
No, within the Asian community, there are examples, Chinese community in particular, other members of the Asian community, South Korean, Koreans generally. That's generally true.
So, okay. Why is it true?
You know what? I'm not a sociologist. I'm not someone. Perhaps you can explain why.
Well, I've told you why.
Why?
They have a family that puts an emphasis on education.
Which is a noble thing. And a lot of Latinos have families that put emphasis on education.
But not enough.
African Americans have put
a lot,
emphasis
but not
on
enough. Their
White
families
people,
are
Jewish
broken
people.
up. Okay. Gavin, I get it. Everything's the same.
Not everything.
Everything's the same.
It's a human condition.
You brought up Hispanic and blacks.
Because the percentages are challenging.
Because the families are broken up.
Well, I think the issue of family is profoundly important.
Thank you.
And I agree with you.
Okay.
As I did
you can't
when we
not
began
agree
the
with
conversation.
Me. It's the number one problem they're having.
I think it's among the challenges.
Okay.
I don't think it's the
What's
number one.
What's the number one
problem?
problem?
I think there are a lot of challenges.
What's the number one?
I don't know that I've not countenced and
so
Gavin, organized 1, 2,
the
3,
family
4,
is
5,
not the
6,
number one
7,
problem
8,
in the
9,
black
10.
community. What is the number one?
There are a lot of problems in the African American community.
But that one's not the number one.
One could make that argument. I'm not willing,
maybe it is the number one. Then.
I'm not here to make that determination.
Listen,
I think there's
Gavin,
a lot of issues.
Okay.
No, but I appreciate your absolute conviction and certainty and your righteousness.
I know what the
versus
problem
people
is.
that you know, but apparently others that have
you
points
know what
of
it is
view
too.
Don't necessarily know.
You know what it is
I don't
too.
know if I accept. I'm willing to.
You know what it
give
is
you
too,
latitude.
but you're not going to get any votes if you say anything.
That's not why I'm
Bill
not saying
Cosby
it.
knew what it was.
He
ain't getting any votes now.
That's not about votes for me. I didn't get into this for votes. I want to do the damn right thing. I don't like these check cashing places. I don't like the payday
I don't
lenders.
like them either.
I don't like the predatory nature of people that take advantage of poor folks.
I don't like it
folks
either.
talking. You know what I don't like, Adam? I don't like folks talking about some poor soul that's here trying to take care of their family and calling them some illegal punk that should be pulled over by the CHP because they're trying to make a go selling their flowers. I care about these damn people. These are human beings.
All right, but here's the deal. If you cared about them...
But I don't want to use the language that incites and diminishes human wealth.
I said
human worth.
I don't need the CHP guys pulling over the people that are paying their taxes versus taking people that are engaged in illegal activity off the streets. That's number one.
Number two, President Obama has incarcerated more immigrants than any president in history, so the facts don't support your assertion.
If you really cared about these people, you'd focus on the real problem.
Which is?
Families.
Families are profoundly important.
Okay.
And
we
do care about families.
And all right, that's the answer.
I agree. I don't know. I wish it was that simple, but God bless you. I think it's absolutely critical. I agree with you. We're not denying that.
It's simple. Father, stay at home, raise your family, do your homework with your kids, put an emphasis on education, like the Jews, like the Asians, and let's see what happens to the problem in 20 years. How many of you are at the check cashing place.
What I don't like is then the sort of assertion within the statement. It's what you're not to suggest that the Latino community doesn't value those same things or African. I just don't accept that.
Well, they don't value it to the extent that some other groups do.
No. Yeah.
You don't agree with that?
Your opinion.
I think statistics back me up.
Yeah, well, I think it's a much more complex issue.
That's not complex at all.
With respect to discrimination, particularly against African Americans, 75% would bear out of different complexities. It requires, I think, a different analysis.
Black kids grow up without a dad.
I think it's disgraceful.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes some impact.
It has a huge impact.
Huge impact.
We've said that. I agree with you.
Well,
you said,
something that
but
makes
I may not
impact.
agree it's the number one impact. I think there are a lot of other issues that deserve your similar attention.
So it'd be top 10? Growing up without a dad. We say that'd be top 10?
It's profoundly, I'll say it again.
But not number one.
Important in people's lives.
Right.
But there are a lot of families with kids that don't grow up with fathers that do extraordinarily well. There are a lot of there's 50+% divorce rates in this country.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of folks that don't have the benefit of two people in their homes that still do well. So it's not the exclusive
that can't be
issue to solve all the problems.
Well, maybe if they get to 80%, that'll help at the check cashing place.
Yeah. Well,
you know what the truth is, Gavin.
I'm not as certain about some things as you are certain about some things.
Well, I just use statistics. I don't make it up.
Well, nor did I make up the statistics about African-American Latino community and check cashing places struggling and dealing with the predatory nature of those places.
I'm with you, brother. I just want to get to the point where we don't have those places and we don't have
share the goal.
A certain group lining up at those places, and I'd like to get back and figure out why those groups are at those places.
I agree, but I think you should look beyond the exclusive focus that it's just about two people in a household. I just don't know if that's good enough.
Well, there's overwhelming statistics for that.
It's as important as that is. And again, I said profoundly important.
Yes.
I think you should give some consideration to other things that are going on.
Well, let's put it to you this way.
You want to talk some more?
Everyone wants to talk about an even playing field. I tell people there's no such thing as an even playing field. Some people grow up with rich people. Some people grow up, their dads own factories they can work at. Some people grow up poor. I grew up poor. I don't know where you grew up, somewhere in between.
Mama worked 2 jobs, and we are a foster family. And
some people, So everyone grew up somewhere different. Sometimes your ethnicity holds you back.
And by the way, in a divorced household where my mother stepped up and stepped in, and just because my dad wasn't there didn't mean I had no damn chance. There were other factors.
Well, he was there for a while.
He was there for a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
When did he cut out?
I was an 18-year-old pregnant mother, had me at 19, my sister at 20, and they were divorced a year and a half later. And now he still played a role in our lives, but my poor mom had to raise us both.
Well,
and she had a kid with a horrible learning disability, and she struggled, but she made things work.
How did he play a role in your life?
He's played a more profound role. But
now that you're rich and good-looking.
Jesus. He's hardly. He's played a very important role, and that's right. But he wasn't raising me day to day. My mother was. And so a lot of folks can overcome that. But
I know you're the exception, though, not the rule.
I don't know. I know a lot of divorced families.
Well, I'll tell you what,
that done pretty well. And so it's not as easy as suggesting because you don't have a father that it's automatic.
No.
That your lot in life
is
Go to
prison and find out what percentage of those folks had a dad in their life.
Or with learning disabilities or with huge
small.
Well, I don't know about that. With huge socioeconomic issues,
with
generational poverty, there's a lot of other issues.
In government, start big, and then we'll get down to the small stuff.
I like sweating the small stuff and then getting the big stuff. I think it's the opposite.
Thank you.
It's bottom-up thinking, not top-down thinking.
All right. I got to tell you what. I'll tell you what.
I've enjoyed